Alright, we'll make this a shorter video here. Like at the end of the last video, until I was unceremoniously cut off there, I was just sort of showing off the code here. So there's your move, okay. I'll just move that out of the way just in case you need to double check anything. And I'll just move it down a little bit more. And there you go. So if you need to pause and fix some of your code, hopefully that gives you some visual of it. All right, the thing that we need to do now is get it to bounce off the top and the bottom walls. And again, you're just going to use some code here. So what I'm going to do is come up to the top here, and we're going to create two more variables, one being the top bounds and the bottom bounds. So we create these, we'll set them public just in case we have to change them, but they're floats. And we'll call one top bounds. And if you go into Unity, you can see this, the top place where the top line is positioned about 9.4f on the y-axis. And because we're centered, the bottom bounds is basically the same, but in the negative. Okay, so that should set our values. And then we have to sort of do two things. First thing, we have to detect when it hits the walls, and again, we're doing this all programmatically. There's no colliders here. And then the second thing is once it has collided, we have to, bounce it. So let's go do that first. Let's figure out the collision. So we're going to check our collisions, and what we've done, right? We've checked it with the paddle. We've checked it with the computer paddle. Okay, and that closed up that. So just below this one, we're going to put in a little bit more code here to check that position. And basically it's going to look, kind of similar to this code here, but a little bit simpler, I guess. So that code will simply put right in here. And so we're just check if the top bounds and then check if the bottom bounds. If it's greater than or less than either of those, we'll need to sort of stop it and then return that the collision is true. So if transform dot, whoops, put this in parentheses, transform. So if the ball's position on the y-axis is greater than the top bounds, so if it's sort of going to exceed the top boundary there, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to sort of stop it, right? So the transform dot local position will keep the y and z the same. So transform dot local position equals new vector 3. So we're going to change its position, and basically we'll keep transform dot local position dot x. We'll keep that the same. We'll limit the top one, the y, to the top bounds, and then the bottom one, it's the same thing. Position, sorry, the bottom one, but the z one will be the same. Okay, so we're keeping x and y, or sorry, x and z the same, but just maintaining y at the top boundary. And we want to set that collided with wall. Sure, I think that was to true. And then we're going to return true as well, right? Because we want to say that, just like we did here, we basically want to set collided with computer, make that true, collided with wall, set that to true, and then return true. Because if this Boolean, right, is going to cause the call to the bounce, basically, right, to the move function. Okay, so once we've got that, that completes that one. We have to do it for the bottom bound, so I'm just going to copy this. Because again, it's identical, except for obviously if it's less than the bottom bounds. And then this one here would also be, whoops, I'll fix that up, that error too, I didn't notice here. Bottom bounds, so this is not transform, it's transform. There we go. And so those ones should get us to let us know that it's bouncing. So we've got collided with wall is equal to true. So just like we did down in the move, okay, with the if it hit collided with player was true, else if it was collided with computer is true, we're basically going to put another else if here right into here. So else if collided with wall. Right, so if we've got it collided with the wall, we're going to put some code in here to get it to bounce. And actually, this is pretty simple. All we have to do is whatever the bounce angle is, I think that's what we called it, we're just going to take the opposite of it. So it's going to hit it and then just bounce off. And we also have to make sure that we set that collided with wall, set that to false so it doesn't keep doing this. Okay, so just make sure you do that. Now hopefully everything is good here. So I'm just going to save it, go back to Unity. What I've noticed on my computer is it's a little slow, so I just give it a little bit more time here to make sure everything's compiled, because I've hit play and the code hasn't changed yet, so I'm just being patient here. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully we've got a reasonably good Pong game going here. There. Okay, so a little bit of a problem. Oops, that worked out okay. Now we still don't have it hitting the edge. Now I was just a little worried about that. Seems to be a little bit of a problem at the start. Let's try this again. Okay, so the bounce. Okay, that's working. That's working. The wall. Okay, that worked. So we seem to have a little bit of an issue in the very first one. But otherwise, things seem to be working pretty good. That was interesting. There's a few little issues here. So it always bounces back on that first one. Then it seems to play normally. It's not a bug, is it? I think it's a feature. Okay. So I'm going to play test a little bit more here. We might have to make a few little changes. I mean, 98% of the game seems to work okay. After that first one, so there might be just some setting at the very beginning that's causing it. And it seems to miss once in a while there for some reason. So let me take a look here, and hopefully I've got some solutions to those problems. Or maybe you're not having those problems, it's just some weird thing going on in mine. But we'll get that fixed. Obviously, the next part, we need to be able to get something a little bit more exciting. So we need a little bit of computer AI. So hopefully I come back with a couple of bug fixes and the code to do the computer AI. And if I don't come back, hey, I guess that's the end of the videos. No, I will come back. See ya.